Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna get to know each other a little bit better. At least you're gonna get to know me a little bit better. We're doing a Q&A. On my Instagram a couple weeks back, I put up a little question box in my stories. I asked what questions they had for me. I have a list of questions here that we're gonna run through. There's a lot of personal ones about my relationship, what I do for work. We're gonna dive in. I'm gonna uncover all of my deepest, darkest secrets. And guess what? We can always do another round of this video. So if you have questions that I didn't cover, drop it in the comments of this video and I can do a round two. Let's start with the work-related questions. I had a couple questions around what is my day job? Do I have a full-time job? The answer is yes, I do. I am not a content creator full-time. I have a career that I love. I work in digital advertising, so I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. I'm like aging myself. I started in the industry when I was like 23. Throughout my career, I've worked with mainly retail clients. I love retail. It's just such a fun vertical to work in because it's like constantly changing, especially like now over the last 10 years, how much shopping has shifted to online. So it's been really cool to be in the industry and like see that shift happen. This is my full-time gig. The great thing is that both parts of my life, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, and my full-time gig in digital advertising, the skills that I've learned across both of those parts of my life have really translated well across each other. And I've used skills from my side hustle and applied them to my full-time gig and vice versa. So it's worked out really well for me in that regard. I feel really lucky that I have a job that gives me the flexibility and the time to do something on the side that also requires a ton of time. This is essentially a full-time job. I dedicate my weekday work days to my full-time gig, and then I spend nights and weekends creating content for all of you. That is my story on my full-time gig. I didn't know that I wanted to go into advertising when I was in school, which I feel like most people don't know what the hell they're gonna do. Back in college, I was like pre-med in the beginning, but then I wasn't sure because I wanted to do business too. I made a decision to take the business route just because I felt like it was a good kind of baseline for no matter what it was I decided to do in my life. I ended up majoring in finance. This girl majored in finance. My first job out of school was in accounting. Literally doing like journal entries and like reconciling bank accounts. I was driving to the suburbs. I was like living in the city and commuting like an hour each way. It was a nightmare. That job was not right for me. I remember pulling up in the parking lot several times a week. This would happen. I would like pull up in the parking lot, and this is also like post-college trauma. That like transition period from college to like adult life, you're just like, this is it. This is forever now. I get why people are depressed. Especially because your first job is like never really what you want to do, and it takes some kind of fine-tuning in your 20s to figure out, okay, I can find a job that I don't hate that makes me happy and makes me excited, and I can see myself doing this long term. That first job is usually not when you discover, you know, your calling. I remember pulling up in the parking lot, sitting in my car, and like I would just cry some days in the morning before I went into work, being like, what am I doing with my life? This isn't what I want to do. Eventually, I found someone who I knew that worked at a digital advertising agency. I ended up taking a pay cut actually to make the transition and like switch my career completely and go the advertising route. My finance background helped me because digital advertising is like really numbers driven. So it's helpful to have that skill set because it's very performance oriented, very data driven. That did actually help me succeed in my career now. It's just like funny looking back, you know, when you think your first job out of school is like what you're gonna be doing forever, and you realize very quickly that that doesn't need to be the case. If you're gonna make a change in your career, do it sooner rather than later. Went off on a tangent there, but that is what I do for a living. Happy to chat more on career advice, like my journey, etc. So if you wanna chat about it more, drop me a comment and I can do another video all about that. But that's kind of my path, my journey, and how I came to be where I am today. The second commonly asked question was, how did you meet your fiance? If you didn't know, I recently got engaged. Actually, I got engaged on Halloween, fun fact. My fiance and I have been together for a long time, like over 8 years. We actually met at work. That agency job I just mentioned, he worked at that agency. There's a 10-year age gap between Leo and I. I didn't roll up into him. I didn't work with him directly. In agency life, there was like happy hours several times a week, going away parties, welcome parties, happy hours just for the hell of it. So I started getting these happy hour invitations from like cliques at the agency that I wasn't really a part of, but they were like people I was friendly with. I thought it was bizarre. I was like, where are these invites coming from? Why am I getting invited to these events with this group? I never went. And then one day I got a ping from Leo, my now fiance. Keep in mind, this is someone I've never spoken to at work ever. We would cross in the hallways and stuff. And he was very like not overly friendly. It was just like one of those like, hey, never spoke to me in the hallways. We weren't like friendly with each other. So when I got a ping from him, I was like, did I fuck something up? Like, am I in trouble? I was clueless. Essentially, he was just like, hey, I've noticed you haven't attended any of the happy hour invitations that you've been receiving. And then I like put two and two together. I'm like, wait a second. Was I getting these invitations because he was telling his friends to invite me to these happy hours so that we could like get to know each other better? And then we just started talking. Like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? You know, the basic stuff that you ask someone when you first meet. Our first hangout was in a group setting. That's kind of how we hung out in the beginning. It was in these group settings. Eventually what would happen is we'd hang out in these group settings and then everybody would leave. It would be like the two of us left eating late night tacos at 2 a.m. and hanging out. That's kind of how it happened. It was really, really cute. Didn't end up moving in together until like 4 years into our relationship. Obviously we got engaged, you know, back in October. It's kind of our little love story, if you will. That's how we met. Other highly requested question was all around wedding planning. When is the wedding day? What are you planning? What's going on? We're crazy. We're planning a destination wedding in Greece at the end of the summer. Hopefully it happens. Fingers crossed. I feel optimistic about it. I feel like most of our American friends will be able to get vaccinated in time so that they feel safe traveling. Leo, my fiance, is Greek. We've always wanted to do our wedding in Greece. We thought, you know what? Like, let's just be optimistic here and plan for it, and whoever can make it, great. We really didn't want to put it on hold until next year. Hoping we don't have to do that, but we're getting married on a Greek island, Milos, and it's part of the group of islands where like Mykonos and Santorini are, so think like the blue and white houses, what you think of when you think Greek islands. It's a special island for us, particularly for Leo, because he grew up vacationing there every summer. So he grew up in Greece, moved to the States when he was like 13. It was important for him to, you know, pick that island and get married on that island in particular. I always wanted to do a destination wedding, so it worked out well. That's kind of the reasoning behind the island that we picked. And if you look at pictures of this island, it is honestly incredible. The beaches on this island are like the best beaches I've ever been to. I have a Pinterest page that I'm building up as we're, you know, ironing out all the details of the wedding. So I'll definitely link to it in the description of the video if you want to follow me on Pinterest. I want to do like a lemon theme and make it like very Mediterranean, kind of rustic, not too rustic. So like Mediterranean vibes with like a little bit of a modern spin. Just found my dress. It didn't take me as long as I thought it would. I kind of knew what I wanted. I wanted like a really simple dress. So like no lace, no beading, really simple dress with like a really rich material, and I wanted a square neck. That was like my thing. I don't want to share too much about my dress. Shout out to DIMITRA'S Bridal in Chicago for being able to basically do a custom dress for me in less than 6 months period. That's like custom order from Italy. Thank God I like got that in and I'm able to get the dress in time. Happy to share like more wedding content on here. Tell me what you guys want to see. I could share kind of my general tips. It's been so much fun, but very stressful, I will say. Planning a wedding is, at the very minimum, a part-time job. The scoop on the wedding plans. Let me know what content you guys want to see around the wedding. I'm happy to put some stuff together for you all. Just let me know what you want to see. I thought this was a good question. How do you put together outfits? Where do you start? If you watch my What I Wore series, I kind of talk through, you know, my thought process and how I pull outfits together. Typically, I have a piece in mind that I want to wear, or a general theme. Like I want to be comfy, so I'm going to go with soft pants, or I just bought this new sweater and I want to wear it today. I have like some idea of where I want to go with my look for the day, and I essentially build my outfit around that category or that item in mind. If you're interested in hearing about more my process for putting outfits together, some like styling tips and stuff along the way, I think that series is a really good watch if you need help you know, starting from scratch and putting together an outfit. I loved this question. What's inspiring you lately through books, music, fashion trends, films, etc. in your everyday life? I wish I read more. I haven't been reading a lot these days, but what I have been doing is listening to a lot of audiobooks. I've taken up rollerblading during COVID times because I just hate running. So I've been rollerblading more, and I've been popping on the audiobooks while I've been rollerblading, which has been so nice. I've had a chance to listen to like a bunch of different audiobooks. I listened to Becoming by Michelle Obama last summer, which was incredible. I listened to Matt McConaughey's Greenlight recently, which was very entertaining. I enjoyed that very much. On the audiobook front, I've been using this app called Libby. If you have a local library, which I'm sure you do, and you have a library card, you download the Libby app, you sync up your library membership through the app, and then you have access to all the audiobooks available in your local library. You can, you know, borrow them, you can put them on hold if there's a wait list. That's how I've been getting all my audiobooks, and it's free, which is incredible. Get Libby, I'll link to it in the description of the video, so you can download it and get your audiobooks for free. Fashion trends, I would say I'm very inspired, as always, by like the vintage trends of like the 90s, the early 2000s, which is a new one for me, because I've generally been like 80s, 90s girl. It's been fun kind of revisiting some of the Y2K trends, because it's like the first decade that I lived through as like a semi-adult, because I was like a preteen teenager in the 2000s. So it's been fun kind of re-wearing and re-shopping for pieces that I wore in like high school and junior high. I feel like very inspired by that, and I think the nostalgia has been, you know, just like a nice thing to experience all over again, bringing back, you know, parts of my childhood. Films, I haven't watched a lot of movies lately, but I've watched a lot of shows that have been really inspirational. I just watched the series directed by Martin Scorsese about Fran Lebowitz. She is crazy, but in like the best way possible. The series is called Pretend It's a City. It was directed by Martin Scorsese, who's really, really close friends with Fran. And it's one, really cool to see their dynamic. And I just love hearing the stories behind creative people and how they live their lives and their perspectives. I don't know, I found this series like really, really inspiring, and it was also really funny. My favorite line that she said, and I actually loved it so much that I wrote it down in my notes, talks about how she's like really angry all the time, and she said, the anger is, I have no power, but I am filled with opinions. And I don't know why, I thought that was so funny. It was the perfect way to articulate that type of anger. Highly recommend watching that. That was pretty inspirational, and it was like a good way of just kind of getting a good laugh in and seeing kind of the inner workings of a creative, successful writer. I think that's enough questions for today. Drop me a comment if there are other questions that you have that you want me to do, and I could make a little series out of this. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. I'll chat with you in my next video. Bye.